We're now halfway through HBO's House of the Dragon, and yet the show continues to deliver. But if there's one thing a lot of eagle-eyed Game of Thrones fans as well as book fans have noticed, is that it has already spoiled the show's biggest death. Which character are they talking about, and how will they die? Find out all about it and more in today's video, so keep watching if you don't want to miss out. We know we don't need to state the obvious, but today's video contains major spoilers, so consider yourselves warned. Recently, fans and viewers online have been fussing about how Game of Thrones already spoiled House of the Dragon's biggest death. Fans of Game of Thrones have a brand new trip into Westeros thanks to House of the Dragon, but only if you haven't read the books on which it's based. Every death and betrayal was described in detail long before this prequel arrived on our screens for those who had already devoured George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. House of the Dragon has nonetheless been destroyed for those who truly paid attention to Game of Thrones back in Season 3, even if you haven't read the original source material. Even though the events in House of the Dragon took place 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen was born, King Joffrey nonetheless revealed Rhaenyra Targaryen's destiny in the episode, and now his watch is ended. Specifically, episode 4 of the show features a scene in which the lovable King Joffrey Lannister strolls the Sept with Margaery Tyrell, his fiancée. Joffrey makes a pit stop along the way to show her where Rhaenyra Targaryen, who's now long dead, is buried. Rhaenyra Targaryen was murdered by her brother, or rather his dragon. Joffrey tells Margaery, "It ate her while her son watched. What's left of her is buried in the crypts right down there." Is that what Rhaenyra and House of the Dragon will eventually experience? Or is the king only making things up? It's unfortunate for Rhaenyra fans everywhere that the princess would pass away in that manner. And in the third episode of House of the Dragon, the man who ultimately kills her initially appears. Yes, tiny Aegon Targaryen, the adorable baby of Alicent Hightower, will one day become an adult and give the order to kill his half-sister. And the unborn boy of Rhaenyra will witness his mother being killed by Sunfire, Aegon's dragon. Fortunately, this son also goes by the name Aegon, so you can anticipate that. Even with the show's penchant for arbitrary time leaps, technically speaking, we're a long way from these events. But Rhaenyra will eventually ascend the Iron Throne after a Targaryen civil war called the Dance of Dragons, which may happen even after the second season. However, Rhaenyra's reign won't endure for long, because King's Landing will turn against her in treachery that ultimately results in her demise. Being the cruel king that he is, Aegon then orders that Rhaenyra will never be referred to as the real queen of Westeros in history books. She should always be referred to as a princess instead, notwithstanding her rightful reign. Ironically, it's likely that the dragon egg Rhaenyra saved in episode 2 was actually Sunfire's, implying that the princess may have initiated her own demise in advance on the show. However, that is simply our best guess. What is known, however, is that Shireen Baratheon revealed to Ser Davos Seaworth in a moment how the Dance of the Dragons ended. It's the story of the fight between Rhaenyra Targaryen and her half-brother Aegon for the control of the Seven Kingdoms. Both of them thought they belonged on the Iron Throne, Shireen continued to tell Ser Davos. When people started declaring for one of them or the other, their fight divided the kingdom in two. Brothers fought brothers, dragons fought dragons. By the time it was over, thousands were dead. And it was a disaster for the Targaryens as well. They never truly recovered. Sounds a bit foreboding. However, there's a very slim chance that some of these spoilers won't be accurate. Who's to say that major adjustments aren't in the works when House of the Dragon has already made a few changes to the original content in only the first 3 episodes? The showrunners, who have previously plotted out the entire program from beginning to end, are the only ones who currently know exactly what lies ahead. It will be interesting to learn if they were motivated by Joffrey or acted independently. So, we practically have an idea of how House of the Dragon will end. Likewise, even the showrunners already have the ending for the series planned out. The showrunners of House of the Dragon are undoubtedly prepared and optimistic for the future of the program. Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik stated that they already have a very definite end in mind for the prequel series to the popular HBO show Game of Thrones in an interview with comicbook.com. In contrast to the authors of their parent program, luck has also been on their side. George R.R. Martin has yet to release or publicly reveal the conclusion to his book series Game of Thrones, so D.B. Weiss and David Benioff were allowed to come up with their own resolution. The 2018 novel Fire and Blood, which covers the Targaryen house's history when it ruled over Westeros before a civil war toppled them, served as the inspiration for House of Dragon. Even though having a very precise idea of where they want to take the show's conclusion, Sapochnik told comicbook.com that they aren't yet able to share it. Additionally, he stated he believes it's crucial to view the series as Episode 4, the Star Wars Episode 4. It's kind of like they're in the middle of a history that's rich and full of stories to tell, the showrunner said, and it's a nice place to start. The new show was also considered the most obvious successor to pursue by its makers because so little about the Targaryens was disclosed during the 8 seasons of the first series. Condal claimed that since they learned nothing about the Targaryens in the first season, it made the most sense. Fans and watchers of Game of Thrones got to know Daenerys extremely well, and Viserys just a tiny bit before he melted. Therefore, it's fascinating to transition from a time when the Targaryens weren't present and were attempting to recapture the remnants of their empire to a period when they were at the height of their power, luxury, and glory to witness what life was like when they were in charge with dragons. Now, back to the series, we all know King Viserys is visibly ill in the show and his health continues to deteriorate as the show progresses. Because of this, many fans have exchanged theories online on what his sickness may be, but alas, their guesses were wrong. If you're curious to know what it is, then keep on watching for more. The difficulties on Paddy Condesign's King Viserys to-do list are from his brother Daemon, Matt Smith, or her daughter Rhaenyra, Millie Alcock. But there's one problem that is quietly consuming the background and needs his immediate attention: the condition of his rotting flesh. The Gold Cloak Massacre, the Bloody Tournament, and the brutal birthing of Episode 1 have partly overshadowed Viserys' return back. Even so, it did happen and is difficult to forget. The quick choice to cauterize the wound put the situation temporarily to rest. You've heard the expression, feed a fever, burn out a bad infection, or something like that. Fast forward to Episode 2, 2 House of the Dragon years later, and astonishingly, this effective treatment strategy appears to have done virtually little to stop the infection spread. Instead, it appears that other parts of the body, particularly the fingers, are being affected by the condition. Instead of burning the flesh, the doctors have chosen something more dependable this time, which are maggots to get rid of the dead tissue and stop the rot from spreading. Viserys' ill health has some Game of Thrones fans in a bit of a spin, with many speculating on Twitter and online forums that the king has grayscale, a disease first described in the series. Even though it would be fantastic to find this as a hidden Easter egg connecting the two shows, it's extremely unlikely to be the case. Princess Shireen Baratheon Carrie Ingram, a character from Game of Thrones, was the first known person to appear on the show with the illness. Fans may have associated Viserys with the disease because grayscale does damage the flesh, but there are no other similarities. Grayscale kills off the flesh by hardening and calcifying the skin's surface, in contrast to Viserys' gangrene-like signs. Initially, the skin is thin and brittle, splitting and cracking as the body moves, and as it hardens, taking on the appearance of scales. Viserys' various symptoms are not the only ones that make the king's prognosis of grayscale unlikely. Grayscale is said to be transferred through direct contact or coming into contact with objects used by someone who has the condition. Viserys' illness has instead been connected to the interbreeding Targaryen bloodline, though this has not been proved. These types of abnormalities are thought to be the outcome of repeated inbreeding. This is the most likely scenario because Viserys' grandparents and parents were all siblings. With that, we're ending today's episode about House of the Dragon. What do you think of the series so far? Are you as hooked as we are? Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching today's video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on for more videos like these. See you next time.